From the city of brotherly love, this is Shark Bite Biz with David Strausser.
And you just arrived to the newest episode of Shark Bite Biz. I'm your glamorous host, David Strausser, and this is your place to learn how to grow a business during complete global chaos. Today, we're going to chat about live streaming. First, though, remember, please download the Shark Bite Biz app. If you're an Android user, head right on over to the Google Play Store, search Shark Bite Biz, download the app. You'll find every single episode of the show there, every audio version, every video version. Shark Bites are there. We got everything right inside of that app. In fact, you can even get our coffee, Dead House Coffee, right there inside of the Shark Bite Biz app. But if you don't want to download the app and you still want our coffee, don't worry. You can still get the freshest coffee known on earth at deadhousecoffee.com. Just please, whether you're using the app or you're going to the site, use the code SHARK, okay? You're going to get 20% off of your order, and all the proceeds directly support us building the biggest and best show we possibly can. Now let's get back to today's show. We've got an amazing expert that comes from the sports and entertainment production world who's going to help us understand the current state of events and productions. It's, a pretty big topic because how things were pre-pandemic versus how things are current day, polar opposite. It is totally different. So we're going to jump into this world and get some great information. So who do we have today? None other than Mr. Howie Zales. Howie Zales is an Emmy award-winning camera operator who turned his passion for television broadcasting into several entrepreneurial endeavors. Howie created HJZ Productions, Inc. in 2000 to address the need for professional-level sports crewing and staffing in the New York market. Under his leadership, HJZ Productions grew to a multi-million nationwide provider of top talent in the broadcasting field. In 2019, Howie and his team founded Viridity Entertainment Services, Inc., VES, which initially focused on staffing in non-union markets. With the onset of COVID-19 pandemic in the early 2020, they quickly pivoted to offering the best-in-class broadcast quality live streams of professional sports shows and interviews, corporate interviews and meetings, and religious services. In addition, Howie took his love of the television production business and created the TV Sports Course, a hands-on training boot camp for the next generation of television crew professionals. Howie is a graduate of the State University of New York at Plattsburgh Mass Communication Program. So hey, without further delay, let's bring Howie right on in here.
Creative and innovation tips.
Howie, welcome to Shark Bite Biz. You, my friend, you just became Shark Bait.
How you doing? Honored to be here.
No, glad to have you here. So, we have a tradition on the show. Very first question, we ask everybody the same exact thing. Who are you? Where you been? What are you doing? How'd you get there? Basically, tell us in a nutshell, what makes Howie Howie?
Sure. My name's Howie Zales. I'm from just north of New York City. I went to school for television production. I shot TV sports for NBC Sports and the World Wrestling Entertainment for over 20 years. Simultaneously to that, I have a television production company where we hire TV crews for sports and entertainment events nationwide. And during the pandemic, when everything got shut down, like everyone else's business, we kind of said, hey, what are we going to do to make money? So we started another business, and we got involved in live streaming, which the technology was there, but kind of in its infancy. and we
Yep.
just dove right in.
That's pretty awesome. So, I mean, filming for WWE, I used to watch them as a kid. That's
Yeah.
got to be fun stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. 20 years of it took its toll. So good to be done with it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's always a point in someone's career where it's like, this is cool. I've had my time though. I've had my run,
Yep.
let's go
Yep.
out, do something new. So right now you're doing live streaming, and live streaming means a lot of things to a lot of people. What's your definition of what you do for live streaming?
Great question. So for us in our business, live streaming is a way for us to help our clients
Mhm.
get their content out there. Whether it's interviews, talk shows, concerts, DJ events, cooking shows we've done. We do a lot of corporate meetings, hybrid meetings where some people are
Mhm.
there in person and we're streaming it to the rest of the company globally. So to us, that's what live streaming means.
And the technology is there to where, I mean, almost anybody with a half decent smartphone these days can just go right out there and you know start making their own YouTube channel or
Yeah,
whatever it is, you podcast, anything. I mean, it's kind of crazy how accessible it is for most people, but there's a difference between accessibility and quality, I think.
cor- correct. So we pride ourselves on the quality of the production that we provide. I come from 20 plus years background in the television broadcasting industry,
Hmm.
and so does the rest of my team. So when we take on a production, we in essence think that this is going to good enough to air on network TV like everything else we've done.
Yeah.
So we take the client through the process of creating a run of show, which is a step by step, item by item sheet of elements of what's going to appear in the broadcast and why is it going to appear. Is it going to be audio? Is it going to be video? Is it going to be
Hmm.
PNGs, graphics, right? So we create a run of show. We help our clients create the graphics if they don't have a team to do it.
PNGs with the watermark still on them.
Yeah, still images. Yeah, no watermarks, no watermarks.
No watermarks. Okay. Okay. Just
Um,
checking.
Yep, absolutely. And then creating graphics. Do we create any video content to help support what the meeting or the broadcast is trying to achieve?
Mhm.
And then we roll those back. And what production services does the broadcast need? Does it need cameras? Does it need robotic cameras? What crew does it need? We supply all of that, and then we supply the mechanism for the broadcast to be televised. And what I mean by that is we have our own content delivery network or CDN,
Right.
where we live stream to, and then that CDN could be that player could be private labeled so it looks like your company's logos and graphics and color
Mhm.
schemes and embedded in a website that we design for our clients or a
Right.
current website that already exists.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. Now you said robotic cameras. Are you talking about like the ones, say I go to an NFL game and you see the ones that are zooming around on the little strings above the players, those types, or something else?
That's a sky cam or a cable cam. Ours are more PTZ cameras, pan, tilt, zoom, which are robotic cameras. And here's a controller for it, for one right here. And this controller can control 6 cameras with the joystick. You can zoom, tilt up and down, and each camera has a static IP address. So I can, move one camera that left, another camera right, and I can create moves. So yeah, it all depends on what the broadcast needs.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, speaking of broadcast, just because a lot of the NFL fans are out there, I do like how they finally upgraded the camera quality, like where have you seen like the touchdown celebrations? And sometimes I think they do it mid-game or they piloted it, I forget, but they'll use, like the more high-end, I guess, DSLR cameras like there for the celebration to give it a different look. I mean, it
Yeah,
almost looks like you're on Madden football game
it's
with
new
how
this
that
year.
style is.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, and it's crazy because, you know, that technology's been around for a little bit. It's not brand new, just
Right,
brand new being used in the NFL for a live production event. But
right.
it's pretty cool. I'm a fan of it. What about you? You're the expert.
Yeah, it's a DSLR with a fixed focal length, a
Hmm.
fixed focal lens on it. So it's kind of like the camera I'm using here today. It's like the background, whatever's in focus, and everything behind it kind of falls out of focus, and it
Yeah,
just
that was
adds a
my
lot
next
of depth
question
to
for
it.
you. Well, your camera looks beautiful. I am stuck with the Logitech Brio 4K. I've had it for about 4 or 5 years. I bought it as soon as it came out, but to me, I think it's probably one of the best webcams. I just think it's too complicated. I I have so much going on in my office. There's, amps, there's 10 guitars. I have studio lights all over the place, so it's like I really want to set up a DSLR. But I actually just saw on Indiegogo a brand new camera that is called, I think it's Lumina. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
heard of it or not, but it's supposed to be, think of like the Logitech 4K Brio, but it brings that DSLR effect with AI to where which is really what called it for me, because sometimes I might lean back and then I'm farther from the camera. It will follow me, zoom with me, go
Oh,
wherever I
nice.
go. And I thought that was I don't know. I thought that was a nice feature. So I plopped down an Indiegogo, should be here in another week or two. And I'm dying to try it out to see if it changes the quality or the visuals of the recordings before we put
Right.
the overlays on them and stuff.
Yeah, we used to we have 20 something camera kits that we send out to contributors that are in our productions if they are to be remote. And our camera choice is the Razer Keo webcam. It's high def 1080p webcam, but the beauty behind it is that you can go in and adjust the white balance, the focus, the zoom, the color and the color temperature, and kind of tailor it to the lighting situation.
So do you send those out kind of pre-configured, or do you
Yep.
send it out
So
like, okay?
so what we do is we have 20 camera kits. In these camera kits are high-end gaming laptops with the Keo Razer webcam, Yeti USB
Yep.
microphone, ring lights, Ethernet cables, and what makes it so easy for us
Hold
is
on a
all.
second. I gotta call you.
Yeah,
I gotta call you out there.
what's that?
And your kits, you send out Yeti microphones, but yet I think you're using a Shure right there.
I am using a Shure.
I
Absolutely.
got the same microphone, but uh, originally I was using the Yeti Pro, and it was okay, but for the acoustics in the room, I have a buddy who's a real sound technician, and he was like, "Hey, trust me, just get this mixing board, move up to the Shure, go XLR. It's going to change your sound." And I tell you what,
Yeah.
you listen to the difference between the XLR versus you. I mean, even if I hook this, well, technically it's still going the USB to the computer, but the sound quality compared to the Yeti Blue Pro, I mean, the Yeti Blue Pro is still really good, but I was kind of blown away, like at the difference.
Yeah, no, my voice needs all the help it can get. So the Shure definitely helps out. But when you're sending uh, uh, equipment to people that don't know how to
No, no. Hmm.
use it, to just plug in a USB microphone, the Yeti Blue is perfect for the situation. And it's still, and why we chose that microphone is because it has software that you can go into the computer and play with it before it leaves, so you can make fine-tune adjustments for the person's voice or the room that they're in or the situation they're in before it even gets to us. So that's the reason
pretty
why
awesome.
we chose that.
I mean, just from your microphone choice to the camera choice to the
Yeah.
laptop, that kit that I've heard of people that, not this podcast because we are bootstrapped and on a budget, unless you go to deadhousecoffee.com and buy some coffee. But, we are at a tight budget, so it's not like we send out kits to people. But I have heard of the, larger podcasts or vodcasts that they'll send out like, hey, here's a kit for you to record when they're doing the segments mobile like that. But never really heard how that kit was put together. So that, to me, it's personally really intriguing.
Well, we take it another step further where we put a piece of software on there called Team Viewer, which allows us to dial into the computer and take full control. So the person on the other end just needs to plug the computer in, turn it on, connect it to their internet. And then it kind of pops up on my screen where I am. I get notified that the computer is online, and then I take total control. I can, zoom the camera, focus the camera, change the microphone settings, and do anything that needs to be done. And then over the internet, bring them into our production.
Did you ever catch somebody doing something naughty on your laptop?
Oh, yes.
I can imagine.
And what was going on in the background.
Oh my God. I can imagine there's probably a lot of stories around that. So as you know, we are in this never ending, pandemic that just doesn't want to end. And, one of the positives, we had Soledad O'Brien on the show, and she's like, I hate to say something is positive about COVID, but one of the positives that we've had is that it has really pushed a lot of areas that were stale. Maybe the technology was there, but it wasn't being fully embraced. Because people are set in their ways, and unless you push hard, they're not going to change. And I think, with that digital transformation that has happened over, can you imagine? We're almost like 2-3 months away for me, 2 years since COVID started. That blows my mind right now. But live streams have completely changed, I feel, over the last almost 2 years. How would you say that they've evolved from 2 years ago to how they are right now at the end of 2021?
The quality, 2 years ago, and still probably to this day, more people have worse internet than people have good internet. So that's like the biggest problem we face. Another problem is because there's so much hacking that goes on. There's so much security tied into the internet that sometimes it makes our job, especially when we're on location, extremely difficult getting around all the security measures that are necessary to be put in place because of what people do.
So quick question on security. And I ask it because I was just featured on Forbes.com talking about cybersecurity, but from the biz dev point of view. Do you have a security officer for your company to try to make sure things are, as secure as possible? Maybe not an actual officer, but like a director of cybersecurity. They kind of protect your data and the streams and making sure that things don't get hijacked.
Yes, we have systems in place for that. And it's some of the vendors we use, but yes, we do.
And do you think that's ever more critical now? Because remember back in the beginning of when the pandemic started, you would get a lot of Zoom trolls, people that just, figured out the random strings and jump into there, then they had to boost up their security. Have you had any instances like that happen to you, or have you been lucky?
We've been lucky, and we haven't had those instances. And the way to prevent that is basically especially when we're on location and we're
Mhm.
using an IP address, there's all the ports are
Mhm.
closed, so someone can't just jump into it with incoming traffic. And then if we have people working remotely, we have to put requests in for a specific
Mhm.
IP address to a specific port for traffic, and that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. But back to sorry, I know I sidetracked you there, but back to the
That's right.
original question then, security aside, how do you think live streaming has changed as a whole? I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's more acceptable. I've had some people on the show, and it's my personal belief too. I mean, I think live streaming webinars is here to stay because I think people realize, like, yes, there is a lot of value going on site, meeting people at some events, but it doesn't make sense for other events for you to be there when, especially if you only need to see a segment or two. It's like, hey, let's just tune in through the
Yeah.
web. Hybrid's here to stay.
So yeah, let's take business meetings for an example, or corporate
Yeah.
meetings, right? Live streams.
Hmm.
So no longer do you need to go to wherever the meeting is, right? As long as the key
Right.
people that are putting the meeting on are all in one spot, and they don't even have to be, but if they are,
Hmm.
it can be streamed global to a global audience. And so, one, it keeps the cost of the production down because you're not flying the whole company into one spot. You don't need
Right.
to rent a hotel space. You can be more, as a worker in that company or an employee of that company, you can be more productive because you can still be at the meeting while
Hmm.
getting whatever business you need to get done. You can be home with your family that night, for in
Yeah.
most cases, right? So there's so many plus sides that there's no way it's going away. I think it's only in its infancy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, I think the only negative is you do lose that networking experience, the ability to meet people that you've
Right.
never met before, or somebody that you've always wanted to meet, or, especially from the sales point of view, the biz dev point of view. That, to me, that's why I started Trick Bite Biz,
Mhm.
because, maybe I would have met you at some event that you were putting on, okay, previous to COVID, but now that COVID's happened, I mean, I haven't been to one conference at all. The only way I get to meet people is through our amazing audience on YouTube and Spotify, iTunes, Verbal, everywhere else, as well as people like you that come on to the show. So that was my answer of, well, how do I continue to grow, learn, network? Because I tell you what, I get people like you on the show, and I learn a ton of cool stuff, and it keeps me in the know, ahead of the curve. I think that is the one ingredient that is missing. I don't know if you've ever tried, the virtual networking stuff at all, but I think that sucks. I think I think it is. I think it's horrible. I think it's hard. It's not good. People try to talk over each other. You try to get involved in chat, or it just
Yeah,
can't replicate real life to that degree. That's
no, you're
the
right.
only thing I see that holds back full virtual live events versus in-person events.
Right. And I can't tell you how it'll improve yet, because I don't know. But I think the technology will be there to make it such that it, it it'll get there. But yeah, I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So you've been in the broadcast of sports and entertainment production for 25 years. That's a long, long time. What are some of the things you've learned about?
Yeah, some of the things I've learned about broadcast production are how to put on a professional show how to show up as a professional. And sports is all it's especially sports is all every sport has its own formula and how it's shot. And so just learning that over the course of time, and learning how to talk to people and treat people and how to network and how to become a salesperson. And ultimately it taught me that I was an entrepreneur, and I never thought of myself as that, because at the end of the day, it taught me that I'm my own salesperson, and I'm only as good as the last job that I did.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the funny thing. I have this conversation with my son, Francisco, who is also the producer of this show. And
Awesome.
he, father son bootstrap show. He's 18, going to Hartcomb College in Philly. But basically, he's like, no, I don't like business. I don't want to study business. And then he got into marketing class, and he's like, oh, wait. This is kind of like the stuff I do for your podcast. It's pretty cool. I like it. And I've tried to explain to him, like, hey, everything you do, no matter what job you take, is going to be business/sales orientated. I mean, if you're going to get a job at Acme, that's his day job right now while he's studying, it's like, you've got to sell yourself. You're always selling something, personality, ideas, unless you're just someone that just wants to clock in and clock out, and you're complacent like that. And that's okay. There's a place in the world for people like that too. But for most people, you're always doing something that's going to be business or sales oriented.
But even in life, right? You're trying to get a partner. You're selling to your partner, right? So there's a form of sale in all aspects of life, whether it's business or personal. And I never really thought of it that way until I read, Grant Cardone's book, and I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Grant Cardone is good, but I fell in love with Jeffrey Gitomer, and I love his Sales Bible and the Little Red Book of Selling. A little bit dated, but I think right now, especially in these times, I think they're more relevant, because it kind of feels like, hey, things are going a little crazy. Get back to the basics, study the core of things, and then from there, that'll give you the answers that you need today. And I feel that it still translates very well to the environment that we're currently operating under. Right. So, I guess the quality of live streaming, has obviously increased. How important do you think that is when you're doing those corporate meetings and stuff like that? How professional do you need it to look? How high quality do you need it to look? Because my thing is that I'm afraid that if I do a live stream, no one, not me with the show, but say I was a business and we did a big webinar, would people show? Are they actually going to watch, or is it going to be background noise like I have with Netflix playing on the TV most of the day?
Yeah, I think it's super important, because if you're the CEO of the company and you're out of focus because you're using a bad equipment, or the attention to detail is not there, or you didn't hire the right company to do the job, and like the lips don't match the sound, the lip sync is off, you lose in my mind, you lose all credibility. So it's of the utmost importance for the quality to be as high as possible.
That was one of the big things that I did with our show. Is we're not perfect. Like I said a million times, right. It's a bootstrap show. We're small, we get, I don't know, 100,000 views a month on YouTube, but we basically, I'm like, I want to put a quality show. I want good graphics. I want a nice intro. We have a professional intro that we've done. And I'm like, interviewing skills, talking skills, stuff like that. I'm from sales. I'll figure that stuff out as we go. And here we are 130 episodes later, doing pretty good. And
Amazing.
I think the quality of the show, the production quality, and there were some ups and downs. We had a couple episodes where Zoom updated. I didn't know that they took the automatic microphone adjustment off with the Zoom call, and it was like overmodulated for the whole episode, and I had like 8 of them. So I'm like, well, there's 2 months of interviews that down the tube, but we were able to save them somewhat. We've had our ups and downs, but to me, I always felt the quality was the most important thing, because if you put out a quality product, people will watch. We've put out a quality product and people are watching, and it's continuing to grow. So I think that's a testament to what you were saying. One other thing I think that would be interesting to talk about, considering your broadcast background, is the cord cutting. Okay, previous generations grew up watching TV. I used to be stuck to the tube, watching Saturday morning cartoons, things like that. I mean, it's really changed. I mean, how much has it changed today?
I mean, I don't think my kids ever turn the TV on and watch TV. They're watching their devices. They're watching YouTube, Netflix, people's names I've never heard of. They're watching gamers as they're gaming.
I can game, and I'm not a huge gamer, but I can game, and I get in a gaming mood every now and then. But I don't get live streaming of the video games and how people get into that so much.
I know.
I mean, if it's a competitive tournament, when I was younger, they'd do like your Madden championships where they kind of try a little bit, I guess, pre-internet that time, or pre-massive internet like we have today.
Right,
so it was a little different of an experience. So I understood those types of things. That makes sense. But just some random dude on Twitch that's like talking as he's discovering some cave looking for some kind of weird relic.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. Okay, good. We're in the same boat. But I mean, even when you look at TV, how it has changed. I mean, look at things like, for example, we have in our house now, we have YouTube TV. And we cut off VES TV and went to YouTube TV, and it's better. I mean, it's the technology behind it that YouTube uses as far as making things searchable, all that stuff, way better than I've ever seen with Comcast, and I've seen with Verizon or any of the other providers I've ever had. And as much as I am in a love-hate relationship with big tech, I do think that they really kind of help with the innovation of that cutting of the cord and getting television to the next level. And I do like it that it's not like, hey, Monday, 7 p.m., you have to watch this episode, or you'll never get to see it again until it comes out in DVD 3 years later. You can record it or stream it at your desire. My
wife and I were telling our kids that when we were young, if you miss the show on its first run in the fall, winter, and spring, you had to wait till the summer for the reruns. There weren't no DVRs or TiVos or anything like that. They didn't even understand.
Or you could try programming the VCR and recording it, and
fingers crossed
it worked, or it cuts out halfway through, or your brother decided to record over the video that you just recorded. Yep. Oh man, kids don't know the struggles that we had.
So true.
So let's talk a little bit here then, just about some general business, okay?
Sure.
One big thing that you talk about is following your gut instinct, okay? Why should you always follow your gut instinct in business?
Because it knows. It will not steer you wrong. Every time I've followed my gut instinct, it kind of led me to the next level. It helped me scale. It helped me, if I was unsure if I should hire someone, I hired someone, spent the money to hire someone. My business scaled like 50%. The latest and biggest example of trusting my gut was my company HJZ Productions was hired by West Point, the military academy, during COVID to produce the graduation. We hired the entire team, producer, director, everybody, for the TV crew for the graduation. So the director came to me and said, listen, I need to have my technical director on the show. The technical director is the one that pushes the buttons when the director says, take camera 1, take camera 2, so on and so forth. So the number he gave me was an 818 area code. And so I assumed that he was in LA. We're in New York. I have, at this point, 3 months into the pandemic, I have 50 TDs sitting at home that I haven't worked in 3 months that I would like to give work to. But, Patrick wants his TD. So I said, you know what? Just go with it. Something's telling me in my brain to just go with it. Trust your gut instinct because there's a reason. Well, I met Jamie, the guy who we hired. He's become one of my best friends and has kind of like helped guide me through my our live stream business, and we've become like a team. We do no productions without him. He's become invaluable to us. So
no, that's great. That's a good story. And I mean, I think there's plenty of times where people can relate to where it's just like, I had this gut feeling. I don't know, maybe the numbers aren't looking perfect on the paper, but I just had gut feeling like, hey, just go with it, just stick with it, and it's going to work out. And I think a lot of times you do that. I mean, obviously, unless you have something wrong with your gut. But if you don't, it does often work out because I don't know. I think it's just like that inner business sense, like the spidey sense that entrepreneurs have.
It comes along with a lot of hard work. It comes along with a lot of hard work too, right? It just doesn't happen. But it steers you definitely, I feel, in the right direction.
Right. Now, one other final question that I have for you is, sure. You have a second business that competes with your original business. Is that right?
Not real. So originally when we started Viridity Entertainment, VES, it was to kind of help our clients that were traveling, people that were not in the New York or local area, where we would payroll them for the clients. But when then the whole pandemic started, we kind of swerved and changed the entire business model and went the whole live stream route. So it doesn't really compete with it because HJZ Productions, our first business, we hire a lot of union crews for sports and entertainment events. And we keep that completely separate from our live stream business, which although it's in the television space, it does its own thing.
Yeah. And I've seen, I mean, you've done some big productions like I see T-Mobile, for example.
Yeah.
I'm a huge T-Mobile fan. In fact, we had on one of their lawyers like 100 episodes ago, one of their lawyers talking about 5G and okay. He did debunk all the myths around 5G. He told us that it's safe, in case you're wondering. But
we've done a lot of interviews with athletes for T-Mobile, a lot of baseball player interviews. We did a the Little League Home Run Derby award show for T-Mobile,
Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Actually, we did it completely remote.
Oh,
we sent our computer kits to 10 boys and 10 girls, and we did 2 different shows, one baseball, one softball, and we had a Major League Baseball player on to give out the award for the Little League Baseball players, and we had Jenny Finch, a professional softball player, who gave out the award to the girls. And we did 2 like 1-hour shows where we watched the kids hit home runs for a few minutes each child. Then it was a little interview with each child, and then at the end of the show, whoever hit the most home runs was given the award by the player. So it's pretty cool.
With you doing everything that you do with the kids, I mean, one of the things that I'm wondering, as I'm talking to you, is how much are you doing remote versus having people on site? Because it sounds like the technology that's present, it sounds like the kits that you have and the ability to be on those computers too, and do you see all those little dirty secrets? Um, it sounds like you're able to do an awful lot remote. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to have people on site for a lot of these things.
No, we don't. And, especially during COVID, people don't want other people in their house, like camera
Right.
crews. So yeah, the kits work out perfectly. If it's a big production where there's
Hmm.
multiple cameras and a lot of people doing a presentation, then yeah, we'll hire camera crews with cameras to go in. We still use the same workflow with doing everything in the cloud and sending up to the cloud from the local area that we're in.
Hmm.
But it's just how are we acquiring the footage changes. But yeah, the remote workflow with the computers works out great.
Does it work out even with, have a client that's not tech savvy?
Yeah, we send a QR code with each of the computer systems, and it gives out detailed instructions on how to assemble everything, where to plug the microphone, the camera in, and then we'll do a tech check 2 days
Hmm.
before the production, and we'll do like a Zoom call or a FaceTime call, and we'll walk them through the setup process. And as soon as we have confirmation that it's set up the right way and we can bring them into our production, we'll turn that off, and then we take a speed test with the computer. We'll make sure the background is where we want it to be, and then when it comes time for the day of the show,
Hmm.
we just kind of just turn the computer back on, and it should already be set up.
Hey, that's pretty awesome. I mean, you can't make it any more simpler than that, can you?
No, and
Yeah.
we send out UPS return labels, so we make it really easy
Oh,
for.
you even you don't make them pay for shipping?
No,
You never get your kits back. Yeah.
exactly.
Hey, Howie, this has been fun. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Uh,
Absolutely, I had a blast.
Final question. How can people digitally stalk you? Where can they find out more about your company?
Awesome. HowieZales.com. Our family of companies is all under that umbrella. At Howard Zales on LinkedIn and Howie Zales on Instagram.
Okay. Hey, well, thank you. And since you are an Emmy award winning camera operator, I do have to congratulate you, but you're not the first person on this show that's won an Emmy. I'll just say
Yeah.
that. But you're the first camera operator that has. So there you go.
Awesome.
You got that running for you. Hey, Howie, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a blast, buddy.
Same here. Thank you. So grateful.
Okay. Thanks. Cheers. Wow. Such a wonderful interview. First, you all know the routine. If you found this interview helpful, if it gave you those warm and fuzzies, do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. But if you really want to help us out, because Shark Bite Biz is the greatest cat secret in the world of business, please do us a favor, share us out to your network wherever you dwell on the interwebs, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Share us to your friends, your colleagues, whoever it may be. Just help get the word out. We grow because of people like you watching this right now. So let's get back to our rock star guest, Howie. First, pretty awesome that this dude, Howie, worked for the WWE for many, many years with production and film crews. The kid in me, starstruck, as I probably watched many of the key matches that he produced when I was growing up. WWE is not an easy live show to produce. Many things can go wrong, and there are many things that are happening at one time. And while some may say, hey, WWE, that's a scripted show. Hey, truth comes down to it, it's a multi-hour live show that's taken in one shot for the most part in front of usually a live audience meeting a stadium full of people. Now, From what I hear and see, I think that's changed a little bit over COVID, but pre-COVID, when he was doing those shows, I mean, there's no doubts about it. There are no repeats. There are no retakes. What happens, and the film crew got to run with it and capture it in the correct way to either minimize the negative exposure or maximize the positive exposure. There's been plenty of times where, look at somebody like Owen Hart, and the film crew had to react because you're on a live pay-per-view event. And that's one of the toughest jobs out there, I think, in the film industry. Same thing as almost an NFL game, no do-overs. When you get into these type of live events and you have a stadium full of witnesses, but you control the camera, you do control the narrative. And that's just as true with the NFL as the WWE or any other major live sports. Where the stations like Fox, NBC, CBS, ESPN have their cameras determined, okay? So these stations that are running football games, where they have their cameras really determine ball placement. They determine, is a catch? Are touchdowns and actual touchdowns? So think about that next time you think about a film crew and the actual execution of what they do. I mean, it's pretty complicated. It's not as clear cut as you think. So it's also really cool how Howie, just like most of us out there, had to reinvent his business due to COVID. How many concerts were watched live, streaming pre-COVID live, okay? Yeah, there were some, okay, but let's face the fact, they were rare. But again, that's another instance where COVID has pushed us over into the digital transformation edge, because now it's pretty frequent. It's pretty often. I mean, crap, my daughter plays Roblox, and in Roblox, they have concerts. It's pretty crazy that you have a concert happening live within a video game. I think Fortnite has done that as well too. So I love how Howie has innovated, pivoted. I mean, he is even doing church services as a production live streaming so that people can safely attend their religious service from the confines of their own home and not risk COVID exposure. And that was during the height of the pandemic. So he's done a lot of good things to really position himself and his business and his expertise to get into new markets that traditionally there wasn't a big market for. Lastly, and this is really a running theme on the show, Howie never really thought of himself as an entrepreneur. He never thought of himself as a salesperson. He said it right there in the interview. He is. You are. Everybody watching this show is. You are selling yourself and your abilities nonstop. Once Howie kind of realized that and learned how to maximize those sales abilities, those networking abilities, those marketing abilities, it really allowed his business to thrive. It's one of those things that kind of held him back because, like many working professionals out there, they don't think of themselves as a sales rep. The sooner that you learn that you are selling, the sooner you are going to get success, period. That's how the cookie crumbles. Awesome stuff, Howie. Thank you so much for coming on. Make sure you check out his business. The links are going to be down below in the description. Doesn't matter if you're on YouTube or iTunes or Spotify. Look at the description below. You'll find the link right below the episode blur. Check out his business. He's doing some amazing stuff. Very creative, very innovative. Question of the day. Do you think of yourself as a sales rep? Yes or no? And tell us why. answer below on the YouTube. And remember, if you want to be in the show, shoot out an email, interviews@sharkbitebiz.com. Please don't forget to join the channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can become a baby shark for only $3 a month and support this channel. But if donating money through big tech is not your thing, don't worry. You can head on over to deadhousecoffee.com. It is the freshest coffee on earth. It is roasted, sealed, shipped, and delivered within a 24-hour period. Use code SHARK. You'll get 20% off your order. We'll get all the proceeds to continue growing this very show right here. And you all know this by now, but I'm David Strausser. This is Shark Bite Biz. We'll see you all next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web at www.sharkbitebiz.com. How has business changed for you in the 20s? Email us at podcast@sharkbitebiz.com so you can join us and share your story.